Okay, so welcome everyone. I'm very happy to have you here today for this workshop. And well, my name is Kena Siu. I am the founder of the Wellbeing Project. And so I welcome you here to this workshop of the art of setting healthy boundaries and nurturing self-worth. So I'm just going to introduce, say just a few words about me for those who I haven't interacted much with you yet. I really, started my journey back like 13 years ago doing yoga. I'm in Montreal, so when I migrated here, I started doing yoga. And after a few years, my body and mind finally connected, and it's when I really start going like deeper into changing my healthy habits, more like eating habits. Like my body was like, okay, we need something better. So it's more when I went into changing my habits, and then the same coach that I was following, she offered a coaching habit certification. So I took that one. It was super interesting. And then from there is when I started like sharing more stuff in social media. And then that same year, I also did a training in yoga and as well as in meditation. And then in the past 3 years, I took a program as a temple body artist. I was there for 2 years with my coach, with a mentor, Sofia in Costa Rica. And so that really brought my feminine power back, if I could put it that way. It was very hidden. I used to live a lot in my masculine at that time. And then from there, I also, last year, I took a laser coach certification with Regan Healer. She's a international known coach. More, it's called the Queen of Manifestation. And her coaching is quite potent. I really like it and enjoy it. So I also offer it in my services. And really what I work in, it's putting things into practice. I noticed that, yeah, we may have a lot of theory, but if we don't put it into practice, then really is like, then the theory is kind of like worthless, right? So by being in coaching habits, and then when my last divorce, because I've been divorced twice, in my second divorce, when I separated, I started really going deep into my self-care, prioritizing myself. And that's what really brought me to truly self-love. Like I used to think that I love myself, and then I realized not. And the more I take care of myself, the more I know myself, and the more I have a right to really love myself. And that have changed everything, because then I'm not needy of the love of others, because I know I can give it to myself. I do give it to myself, and then the love that I have, I'm more to share it with others. And yeah, it was just a huge shift in my life, and that's what I aim to really teach other women, because we are very, the way we have been programmed is really like to depend on everyone else to give us. And when they're at the end and at the beginning, we are the ones who have everything. We have everything within us. It's just about really connecting back with who we are. And yeah, to find ourselves, and then from there keep growing and see our value. And that's one of the things that that we're going to be talking about it today, about our worthiness, because then we think that we are not worthy, but the truth is, just by existing and by being here, we are worthy enough. Yeah, so that's my share about my story. If you would like to share, where are you joining today, that'll be nice. And then before we just get started.
Hi, my name's Kim, and I'm in North Alabama. Yeah. And I
Okay.
related to so much of what you shared. I just related so much. So
Thank you,
it's
Kimberly.
been it's been a long path for me. I'm 60, and I used to preach boundaries and self-worth to young women from the time I was very young, and I thought I had it. I thought I had it down, but some things really happened and surfaced that made me aware of the deep woundedness that was still underneath what I had tried to build up to shore myself up in the world, and
Yeah.
but it was there for my healing. But there were some holes, you see, and there were still some holes to fill. So, in fact, I suppose there will be for a lifetime. So glad to be
Okay.
here.
Thank you for being
Yeah.
here. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
gonna go to that hole today, so hopefully you can do a bit of more healing. So thank you.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Uh, yeah. So Sylvia? Yeah. Oh, you're muted.
Excuse me.
It's
Yeah,
okay.
I realized I think we lost Mary somehow. Maybe she'll come back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe it
Anyway,
was.
I'm calling from Montreal. And for me, it's been a long journey to acknowledge my worthiness. It's been a long journey to get to that. And I found I still find that setting up boundaries is still a challenge for me. The way I understand it right now is like my early childhood experiences kind of created this, I don't know, like connectedness and enmeshment with others, that the boundaries, like I didn't know what the boundaries were, what were my boundaries, what other people's boundaries were. So I'm still struggling with it often. So that's why I'm here, because I really wanted to learn more about it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your share. And yes, we're going deep, ladies. So hope that you're gonna get more answers, and then more for you to have really more as a structure of it. How can you set them, and then you're gonna see later on. But yeah, thank you for your share. I appreciate it. Okay, so let's start. Well, first, about the topics that we're gonna touch today is really like understanding our boundaries and how they are intertwined with our self-worth. We're also gonna be talking about boosting our self-worth once we understand why we don't really recognize it. And then we're gonna go to several steps how to really set healthy boundaries. So this is where we're gonna go do a bit deeper, and then I'm gonna be telling you shortly about a program that I'm launching, and then we're gonna be doing coaching opportunities if we have enough time. So yeah, but I think we will. So let's get started. So what is a boundary? Boundary is really something that you consider that is acceptable for yourself. So it's really about, because of course they vary from person to person, but it can be something, valuable for me, or something that I want to put a boundary. It's something that is good for me, but it might not be the same for other people, right? So that's what it's a boundary itself, because you are the one who is putting it out there. And I was the other day in a group, and I like that it was this lady saying that she rather called them standards. And I really like that, because I think it make it more like something more with more foundation, if I can put it that way. Because a standard is something that we set up, or when we establish by an authority. In that case, the authority is you, right? So you are the one putting that rule. In this case of whatever you value, whatever is good for you and is not good for you. So you set that standard. And so it's really kind of like a a synonym, but I like the word standard because I felt it more like rooted compared to a boundary. It's just, playing with words, but take whatever works better for you. As usual, this is just, an invitation or another perspective. So then when we talk about boundaries, I want you to reflect on, why do you struggle with setting healthy boundaries? What are you afraid of that you don't set those boundaries? Is it that you are afraid of being rejected? Or is it afraid of abandonment, of not belonging, or not being lovable? It could be many causes that are really the ones giving us that sense of not putting those boundaries. And then the fact that we put different boundaries according to our relationships. Like with person to person, we set different boundaries. I'm going to have certain boundaries with my mother, another boundaries with my sister, another one with a friend. So boundaries really vary from person to person. And the thing is, according to a behavior to each of them is when we consider if we are then worthy of not worthy. And then based on that unworthiness that we can feel is how we set the boundaries with the other person. That's how it is. But if you think about it, I don't know if you've ever seen, there is a video where they are interviewing children and adults. And what they ask is, what would you change about your body? And in this case, it's the body, right? I guess it's more that we are relatable. And what the adults were saying is like, well, I would like to have like prettier legs or have a different kind of color of eyes, different things that they were, talking about their bodies, and in a judgmental way, unfortunately. So those were their answers, like really wanted to change the body for something better according to the perception of what we get from social media and whatever else. And then in the questions, like in the answers from the kids, when they asked them, why would you change about your body? Like there was this little girl that she said, well, I would love to have a mermaid tail. And then there was another kid saying that he would love to have like the claws of an bear. So it gives me chills just to think about it, because they are at that age, we are so pure and so innocent that we don't really see anything wrong with us at that time, because we haven't arrived yet to this conditioning then that we get while we are growing up, right? So that's the thing, that while we are growing up, we have all this conditioning that make us feel that we are unworthy. So the question is are we really unworthy or not? It's just a program that tell us, to follow a checklist, to follow the status quo of whatever the family rules are, the society, religion, culture, all those things. And then, of course, with all that list, it comes all these expectations. And sometimes those expectations are really straightforward, that someone will tell you, no, you are not smart enough or pretty enough, or other ones, and more like, I guess, within families, sometimes they are really subtle. They might not say anything, but what about when we have our parents that we do something and they don't agree with it, and they just have a side that they can kill us with it, right? So sometimes they are not spoken, but we can feel it we can perceive it by the other person behavior or the way they look at us. Very, very subtle. So it's really about when we think about those things, then all that expectations of that behaviors of the other people, it started make us believe that we are unworthy. When in reality, we are worthy. Each of us, just by being here, by being alive, we are worthy. There's nothing wrong with us. But it's just the expectations and the lists of immense things that we're supposed to follow that make us believe that we are not. And so if you think about it, then unworthiness, it's a fucking lie. This comes from Tracy Leach. She's a coach as well. I love her. And when she said that, I was like struck, and that's the truth. It's just a lie. So that's when we're gonna really like go a little bit deeper, because then it's when we have all these fears again coming back of us not being able to set healthy boundaries. It's again because that feeling of unworthiness, and because we don't want to be rejected or abandoned, or we don't feel enough, that we are not able to set those boundaries. So that's the really like the correlation with these two elements of how we are unable to set healthy boundaries, because we feel that we are unworthy. I hope that makes sense. When I can look at your faces, and it seems like, yeah, it is. And so the thing is, when setting boundaries, some people think that is selfish, right? But what is it more selfish? The person that is asking you to do something and you don't want to do it because it's not good according to them. So if we put it around, whoever is being selfish is the other person for not accepting what you are standing for. So it's just to see it from another perspective, and also to see like, yeah, no, like you are the one who is first. You are the one who has to be the priority, because what really happens when we don't set boundaries and we become people pleasers, we become depleted, frustrated. And at one point, what happened is like we give from a place of frustration and from an empty cup. Compare that if we really fill up our cup and we stay in our standards, what we want and what we don't want. So we really know what it is that we want other people to, to accept or not. Then based on that, we're gonna be giving from a place of love and abundance, which it makes the whole difference. And then the thing is like when, well, let me just follow in here. Yeah, so it's really because we tend to blame others sometimes, that we say no, but they are asking me for this, I cannot say no. And then we blame others for asking us for more things that we really want. But the thing is, you are the creator of your reality. So the thing is, take responsibility for your actions. If it's you the one saying yes instead of no, then take responsibility for that. Because what happened is when we try to, speak our truth or say, or set healthy boundaries, when we have those like negative emotions in us, that like negative emotions, what really is showing you that what you are saying or what you are acting is not in alignment with what you really desire and what you really want. So that's the negative emotion telling you, hey, you're not in alignment with your truth. There's something to reflect about. I'll give you a few moments so you keep taking your notes. So what can you do to boost your self-worth? What you can do is make a list of your virtues. You want to write it down. So then when you have, well, you can actually write down a few afterwards. So it will be make a list of your virtues, of your abilities, of your capabilities, and achievements. Because if you think about it, where you are now, it's really thanks to your effort, to your courage, your resilience, your love for this life, your love for others, and your support. The support of others also has brought you where you are here now. But the reality is, you are the one who has taken action. You are the one who has this life that you have created with the ups and downs, because life is a roller coaster. But when you really focus on those things that come from you, within you, first of all, that's what I said, your virtues, your abilities, capabilities, all those things come from within. And then we have the achievements, whatever we have gained thanks to then our effort or work, whatever else. That is also important because it makes us who we are. But I do believe when we focus in then what is coming from within, then we can see really that value that we have as a person. And then that can help us to boost our self-worth. If you would like to write down a couple of virtues that you have. Also, it could be that you're a really good listener, that you're good with, well, if you're good with your hands, I guess that would be more of an ability. Yeah, also capabilities could be if you're really good at organizing your home, or if or helping others, whatever it is that you bring value to your life, that you bring value to others. If you would like to share in the chat a couple of them, that'll be nice, so I can read them out. Okay, so Sylvia, your virtues: being kind, loving, caring for people and the planet. Oh, those are lovely. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yes, do I believe that once we really focus on whatever we can bring out, it's really how we can boost our self-worth, because the self-worthiness, it really comes from within. It has nothing to do with the perception of other people. So by looking in and seeing all those is how we can really like boost our worthiness and say, yeah, but that's your perception, but it has nothing to do with me. So I know what my worth is. And so nobody can tell you otherwise. Okay, so now we're gonna move forward with.
Oh, Eugene,
Yes.
I had one question.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, well, I'll share real quick the virtues that Sylvia did. Mine, I put compassion and integrity, but I had a hard time distinguishing between abilities and capabilities. How do you define those differently?
Oh, that's a good question.
Is abilities like skills in a way, and then capabilities are more like potential that's not necessarily been.
Yeah.
It could be. I have a
Yeah.
feeling like that too. Yeah, like there's like
You do?
skills you may have,
Yes, capabilities
and then
is
like more of a potential of like, I don't know, not
Ability-
exactly a skill.
Okay, like the abilities would be more like potential.
I think it's
and
the opposite.
capabilities.
Yeah, I think it's the opposite. Capability is more like the potential, and then the abilities.
Oh yeah,
is
I got it.
Yeah,
I got it.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, you
Okay.
took me off guard. And like sometimes, playing with words, and I might, I don't know, I may understand what they mean, but that for me is a bit difficult to explain it.
Yeah, it's good. I think we got it settled.
Okay, sounds good. And thank you also for sharing your virtues, Kimberly. Okay, so now we're gonna move forward with setting healthy boundaries. So we're gonna do an exercise. This is where I'm gonna be asking you a lot of questions for you to reflect. So just be open, and it's okay to be vulnerable. So I do believe the more vulnerable we can be, it's more, we can go deeper actually in our inner work, and so therefore more healing. So I want to ask you to pick one situation in which people usually step over your boundaries. Like what's something that kind of happens often with you that you struggle setting that boundary? So just pick that situation. And the first question is, who's the person who is stepping over that boundary? Is it a family member? Is it a coworker? Is it your boss? Is it, I don't know, if you're volunteering, someone from there? Who is the person who is usually stepping over in this specific situation?
What was the first question again?
So you're gonna think about a situation when you struggle setting healthy boundaries. So if you think about that situation, who's the person that you're struggling with to setting that boundary? Is it a family member? Is it a coworker, or any other person? You can write down the name of that person if you feel comfortable. It's okay anyway. This is only for you. And then I want you to think, what is the situation that causes that? So for example, if you struggle to setting a boundary, let's say with your sister, because your sister wants you to pet sit the dog or her baby, let's say, because just giving an example. So what is exactly the situation that is causing that?
Do you want us to share?
No, it's okay. You can keep this for you because I have more questions. Okay. So yeah. And then, so the next question is, how do you feel about it? When that situation happens and you didn't set that boundary, or you ignore it? Did you feel pressure? Did you feel angry or frustrated? How do you feel about it? And now reflect about what are you afraid of that will happen if you will speak your truth with this person. And this question, again, this is why it's related to our unworthiness. So if you will speak your truth to this person, why will you be afraid of? Again, of not being lovable or being rejected or abandoned. What is that fear that you have? And now I will ask you to reflect on what happened back in your childhood that caused you to believe that you are unworthy and not enough. So meaning also that caused you this kind of fear that you were just thinking before. What happened back in your childhood?
I was thinking what didn't happen.
Oh, there you
That's
go.
important.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you for mentioning it. Yes. So now I will ask you to think about, in the case, this person, right? That might cause you this kind of sense of unworthiness and not being enough. If you reflect back at that time, what is the story of that person? Or what's the story of that situation that brought you to this conclusion of you then not feeling worthy? And I do believe this question is very important because once we can reflect and learn what is behind that person, understanding the perspective, the behavior of that person towards you, that then you get to the conclusion that you felt unworthy. Once we can really like reflect on that, that's what is going to really shift or question if that's really true, what this person told you or act on you, if it's true that that's why you are unworthy because of the behavior of or the words of this person. once you have understand, and in a way, the idea is really once, we understand what this person or behavior is, the best thing to do is really to accept it. Acceptance takes time, but it's just something that once we accept it, it's easier for us to then move forward. But at least now you have that awareness of what was the behavior and the situation that happened with this person, for you to reflect probably further or eventually understand this person and come to accept what happened. Because once we can accept that, it's really how we can reframe that experience and start shifting that sense of unworthiness. Then, because we're going to realize that, that's the perception of the other person. That's the history of that other person, that it has nothing to do with me, has nothing to do with you. And once we start to understand that and question that, then we can say, okay, no, like, again, that was his story, his perception, and then start reframing it. So that would be now like, how can you reframe that experience? You can say, for example, so the perception of this person, I'm going to give a personal experience example. I can say that the perspective in this case of my father, of me not being valuable enough, it was because in his story, having a lineage of Chinese family that are all work, that's how they bring value to others. So once I understood that I didn't feel valuable by my father, but it was because he comes from his own family, it's his heritage. But it has nothing to do really with my value. Then I understood that, I had the compassion to say, that's his history. It was the same story with my grandfather, so he had this of him being valuable by doing things, by giving money, by helping others. So once I understood and accept that was his perception, then I said, okay, that's his perception, but I know now that I am worthy for who I am. I don't have to give value all the time. I don't have to be working all the time. I don't have to be providing money to be valuable to others. I am worthy. I am. I know that now. And once I understood that, that's how I recover my sense of worth with that specific situation. And that situation, I mean, it's a big one, because it really, by my father being a pillar for me, my sense of worthiness, if I think about it, it was really based on that. And so once I went to that process and think about it and reflect about it and forgive also, because I do believe that for us to be able to accept, we have to forgive and understand. And that when I realized that, my sense of worthiness is just like, it was kind of blocked, if I can put it that way, and it just like exploded, and it was like, I know I'm worthy now. Yeah. So now that you have reflect on on what happened with this person, if you have reframed, well, I want you also to reframe your story, as I just gave you this example with the situation with my father. If you would like to write about a bit of how can you reframe that story for you, so you can recover that sense of worthiness back to your body, back to your mind and soul. I'm going to go to the next question, and then if you want, you can go even deeper later on this, because I think this is kind of like the base of how to really shift that sense of unworthiness by going deep into this question. So then, what will be then, based on all the questions before, like, if you think about it, next time that situation is going, it may happen. What do you think, or how can you set a new boundary so you can really implement it for next time that this situation happened with this person? What would be a healthy boundary that then you can put into place next time with this person, now that you understand it? Like, what will be your behavior? What kind of words will you use in a nice way, of course? It's about having kind of like a plan. So when the next time happens, you are already aware of it. And at the beginning, it may be hard to take action right away. And it's normal. But it's just about then being aware of it and then taking action next time, probably not doing it as well as you wanted, but because the thing is, it affects, or is going to affect your nervous system, right? So probably when you know that situation is happening again, you may freeze, or you will probably want to run. So it's really good, like, to just be aware of it or how you are feeling. And then let's say if that time you say yes again, I was like, okay, at least you were aware, you notice how were you feeling. So then next time, probably you're gonna say, you know what, no, or yes, but with these terms. So you can move, forward, because the thing is, we only move at the level of safety. It depends how safe we feel in our body. That's how we can move forward. So every time, if you keep practicing, then you're gonna move, then stretch, make your nervous system feel a bit more comfortable by saying no. And it's a practice. It's really a practice. So it's just be aware of your behavior, and so you can actually then shift it and act differently the next time. So this was really like the practice of setting healthy boundaries by going through all these questions and really reflecting on it. So I don't know if you have any questions. We can take a couple of minutes with questions, if you have any, or we just can move forward, whatever works for you. Go, Sylvia.
No, I think it was a really good exercise. I just wanted to share that. It's I also have to reflect, like, on this particular situation, like what to say, when to say. But yeah, it's a practice. Also, it takes practice, and it may not come out, right from the beginning.
Exactly. Yeah, it is practice, because again, like, we behave in a certain way with each person, right? So then just doing that shift, it's difficult from within, and then because we are like, okay, how they're gonna act. So in a way, we're always like, also like saying like, okay, what's gonna happen, right? But again, as you said, it takes practice. But I mean, but that's the only way we can actually do it. We can actually do it. So.
Yeah. And I think it takes like this assertiveness and like being firm, respectful and firm at the same time.
Yes.
And one reflection that's coming to me is that in the situation that I'm thinking of, I think the person with whom I have, like, who crosses my boundaries, also has a problem with his boundaries. Like, he's not like aware of like what's appropriate, what's in different situations, and like he crosses my boundary, and I don't know how to protect myself. Like, I'm kind of vulnerable, in the situation.
Yeah, that could be one, that the person is not aware of their own things. Some other people could be that they're actually taking advantage, because it also happens. On the other hand, it could be also that it's something normal for that person, right? Probably, I don't know, let's say I invite you to my home, and then I can tell you, hey, Sylvia, just go ahead. If you want to eat something, go to the fridge. It's fine with me, that boundary. But I remember my grandma, when we would have friends at home, if a friend of us would open the fridge to get food, for my grandma was like a big deal. So again, it depends what people are used to and where you place those boundaries, what can be normal for that person or not. Yeah. So it's more about like understanding as well. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for your comment. I appreciate it.
Yeah, but what I'm thinking of, like, this, my situation is like that person kind of shared with me about his childhood. And so we had similar experiences. So I believe that's why, like, he probably also doesn't really understand like healthy boundaries. So it's we are in this situation maybe to learn them. Like, I don't know why exactly we came together, and it's a work situation, but it's like it's becoming like too personal, like asking like very personal questions, asking like, sometimes I feel like why would I want to tell him that,
Okay. Yeah, in that case, I mean, you can say really politely, you know what, I don't feel comfortable sharing that part of my story with you. And that's about it. Right? Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Kimberly, would you like to share something?
Oh gosh, it just stirs up. It still stirs up a lot. I've been through heck and back with, raised in a family that of boundary busters, and it was really disturbing to me as a kid, and not only disturbing, dangerous, so it's a really heated topic for me. I am so, sometimes I think I got so boundaried that I'm just like, I won't let anyone near me, or that people can just feel like, don't mess with her.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Talking about being that masculine energy. I had to adopt that at a very young age.
Okay.
I adopted, I think it was in me anyway, right? So, I mean, it's not that I had to. If I had, I could have gone a different way. My brother went a different way, and he's male, but I was the older child, and I became very, like, don't mess with me. And it kept me safe, honestly. Do you see? It kept me safe because abusers, and in my case, there was abuse, and abusers know who they can manipulate or control, or they
Yeah.
know inherently,
Mhm.
whether it's a child or it's a stranger or it's a, this is it's close to my heart. It chokes me up because, that was a terrible thing to have to go through and to have to fight through for myself. But of course, I didn't have any adults around to protect me or to have healthy boundaries, and show me how to have them. So I was
Yeah.
always fighting. So in some ways, it worked for me in the world, because when I got out in the world, this is the gift of it. When I got out in the world, and it was a man's world where I was working, and I knew I had to be independent and make a way for myself, because I didn't want to be vulnerable enough and unboundaried where I was dependent on someone. I didn't want to be dependent on anyone for how I felt or for my money or anything. And that was a good thing. You see,
Yeah.
so even though it came from trauma, there were some really positive things from it because of the way I responded,
Yeah, of
which
course.
was,
Yeah.
I'm not having that. And
Mm-hmm.
although I have to say, I did end up in situations like that. So, see, there were still holes and wounds that weren't, because I was still not paying attention to my instincts in my personal life. I was able to adopt that in my professional life, but in my personal life,
You were struggling.
I was still, well, I think that's our most vulnerable place, isn't it? So, and I
Yeah.
kept wanting to have relationships. I think my personal relationships, I was drawn to people like my family members.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I wanted to help them. And they didn't want help. They wanted to control or manipulate or abuse, or, I mean, there was the same kind of characters.
Yeah.
And I would love them and want to get there. And then I would be unbounded, because even though I saw it all and I knew, I kept thinking I could change the situation. That's the thing. Like, for me to finally accept that I cannot change this individual. This person does not want to change, does not want to show respect. And if someone is that kind of individual, I'm powerless over. It doesn't matter what boundaries I put up. Some people, you can say you can put all the boundaries in the world, but that doesn't mean they're not going to knock your door down. There are lawless people. And I'm not, and people who are lawless, personal boundaries, even setting them, can be dangerous. So I had to learn to be very skilled about acting like I was going along, but it took a lot of skill, and I learned that from a young age. So it helped me in life in a way, because there are a lot of people out there who will take advantage, and they're not interested in observing boundaries for various reasons.
Yeah, exactly.
It may be, some people just think they know better. I know a lot of people like that, and they think they know better. They know better than you, no matter what you say.
Yeah,
So anyway,
exactly.
it's funny to watch, but I think I was always trying to keep the peace, or I wanted to preserve the relationship at all costs. And I had to really hit bottom till I was like, no, I want to preserve me at all costs. And I want to tell you that took me a long time in these certain situations. And it, in fact, almost cost me my life. So I, because I was naive in some ways, even though there was still a part of me that was naive about how much control I had over things. And because I had been such a little clever girl, I thought I was more clever than I was. But I, I think, I think for me, that's one of the big things too, is to have humility, to understand how much I can't control what other people say or do, or whether they respect boundaries, or You know, once I did
No.
learn how to set them, then I had to learn
Mhm.
that I had no control over whether someone will honor them or not.
No, but that's the
Zero.
thing. That's why by setting boundaries, we put that control. Like this is it. Like this is
Well,
my standard, right? And then from
yeah,
there,
and
because
then
as you
so I just
said,
said, you just said sayonara, and
yeah,
you know,
exactly.
I mean, in one situation, I just thought I was gonna have to move house. You know, it's like,
Oh wow.
yeah. So I mean, that can happen. I mean,
Yeah,
because some people that don't respect boundaries, they can really escalate. You know,
yeah.
it's quite a, yeah. Anyway,
Mhm. Yeah.
it's an important topic, and I learned a lot today.
Oh,
I
glad.
like the
Thank you for
idea
your
of
share.
reframing and all of that, because that was one of my questions. It's like, what's the
Mm,
solution when the
yes.
situation doesn't change? And even though when you do decide get the self-worth too, or you're not afraid anymore, you're not in fight or flight or whatever, you know, so
Yeah.
that you finally are able to assert yourself, then what do you do to recover from the grief? You know, there's oftentimes, if it's a personal relationship, for me, there's a lot of grief involved.
Mhm.
So I like the example you gave with your dad, and I related to that, and that the steps to take afterwards when perhaps those boundaries never really did work, or you know,
Mhm.
your parent or whoever never really did give you what you needed to feel the self-worth you wanted. But anyway,
Mhm. Yeah,
yeah,
but then it's when we take responsibility and really us like doing the work to get back into alignment, right? Because they also have their baggage. We have our own. So of course they
yeah,
just give us and they teach us whatever they were capable of, whatever they learn from. So that's I guess
yeah.
is when it comes back to that acceptance. So yeah, thank you so much for
Thank
your
you.
share, Kimberly.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Oh yeah, I really
Okay.
appreciate your shares. It's so lovely to see how. Yeah, I mean we're in the road and it takes practice as each of us we mentioned. So yeah, I really appreciate it. So now I would like to talk to you a bit about I have a new program. I know Sylvia, you did, but I don't know if Kimberly did. But anyway, so I do have one of my freebies that I have is Heal Yourself. Is about 5 practices, uh, which is well, it says is those are the practices that I really took after my separation and then going really like within, and those are the ones that I keep doing that have helped me really to love myself again, get back into alignment and move forward in my life. So I have this freebie with these 5 practices. And when I did know that I have this online program, I actually went even deeper in this practices. And so it's really about like processing self-grief. Like in this program, it's called Inward, a transformative journey for self-liberation. And I really feel like this name is super potent and powerful. And the way I felt it is because I realized how much liberation I have gained by doing these practices continuously. And the more I go in and do the inner work, and which whatever we're practicing today in this workshop, it's included in there, how much liberation and how much peace, really. I have gained a lot of peace by doing these practices continuously. So that's what I'm offering in this mini course called Inward. And so it's really about processing self-grief. In this one, I give dance ritual. Some of you have already experienced that. And then I have another practice about embracing responsibility and then how to really shed from victimhood and to become victorious. Then I have also like how to nurture yourself holistically. I did a self-care journal, like really to put it into practice, like to print the page and then taking notes like every day. And so you can really ensure, like be sure to you are filling your cup every day. And of course, it has a long list of self-care practices that's actually in the freebie as well. And then another one is how to speak your truth boldly by setting healthy boundaries. It's something similar to what we actually did today, going really deeper and how we can set those boundaries by taking all these steps, and also how to release the lie of not being good enough or recognizing our self-worth, that we actually talk about it in here as well. So in that mini course, I go a bit deeper, and because each of these practices really can transform you from the inside out. And so you can really feel more empowered and joyful and present and at peace with your life. And the inward mini course, it's with all these practices, it's $45 Canadian dollars. So approximately like around 32 US dollars. So that's the price for today. It's going to be for a limited time. I don't know for how long. Eventually, then I will let you know when the price will go up. But I really, it took me quite some time to create it, but I really feel that this is like the work that I've been doing in the past 4 years. And yeah, I don't know. I'm really proud of it, of this work, and that's what I'm sharing it now. So giving kind of like a shortcut from people that are trying, to heal themselves, to come back into balance and alignment and all that. So I just wanted to share that. And yeah, I don't know, since actually we already completed the hour of this workshop, and I really want to keep it to the time. I don't know if you would like to share something like short before we finished. And for you ladies, since I said actually you are live with me here, and since I promised also to give in personal coaching, but we don't have enough time in here. For you, I'm open to actually give you 45 minutes of free coaching if you would like, to, and then I can so you can sign up for a call with me for free. We can do that afterwards. Yeah. So I don't know if you have any comments, or we can just close the call here. And so yeah, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your presence, you being here today. And yeah, I really hope to see you soon.
I have a quick question. How do we sign up for this program?